The UN, United Nations, are called united. But as we know, there's no unity. Political and economic interests, nationalistic and racial prejudice block their unity and effectiveness. In one of our publications it said, the UN is like a watchdog that barks but does not bite. Well, we all know that on the wall at the United Nations Plaza in New York you can find the words of the prophecy in Isaiah chapter 2, verses 2 to 4. Originally, there was no reference as to from where the quote was taken, but then years later they added that in this inscription at this wall. So now everybody can check it, the reference Isaiah 2, 2 to 4. And what does it say there? Well, in the final part of the days, the mountain of the house of Jehovah will become firmly established above the top of the mountains, and it will be raised up above the hills. So Jehovah's worship being much higher and elevated in comparison with other forms of religion. To it all the nations will stream, and many peoples will go and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of Jehovah, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will instruct us in his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law will go out of Zion," heavenly Zion today, "and the word of Jehovah out of Jerusalem." And then in verse 4 it says that they will beat their swords into plowshares, their spears into pruning shears. Nation will not lift up sword against nation, nor will they learn war anymore. Well, wonderful prophecy. When will this prophecy be fulfilled? It's been already fulfilled in Jehovah's people. Yeah? So we are part of the fulfillment of this prophecy. The United Nations, with putting that text in big letters on that wall, wanted to give the impression as if they would accomplish the fulfillment of the prophecy, but they will not. Certainly not. And on their grounds, there's also a statue that expresses the same thought. It's of someone that has a sword and is changing the sword into plowshares. Yeah? This statue was donated by the Russians, interestingly. So, but no, United Nations will not be able to accomplish the fulfillment of this prophecy in Isaiah, but we know through the Messianic kingdom, yes.
Good morning, everybody.
Howdy.
I actually wanted to do this video last weekend and we ran out of time. But I wanted to thank Faye, who has been leaking all of these videos to us. And this is from the Hong Kong dedication. And I'm going to put a link down below to these videos. Gotta love RooTube.
Yes. So what are we looking at here today, dear?
Okay, well, first, you heard the clip from Losch when he's talking about the UN, and he's bashing the UN. And
Yeah.
I gotta ask, you guys were part of the UN in the United States. Not many Jehovah's Witnesses or even ex-JW members know this, but they're still members of the United Nations as NGO, which means non-governmental organization.
Yes.
And what I'm going to do is down below, I'm going to put a link to our website. I've got all this information. And I want to thank Trevor so much for sending us this information. And there were so many that I couldn't put them all on the website. You know, I've tried to do, as many as I can. But we've got the latest list from the OSCE, which was this past fall. The OSCE Human Dimension Implementation Meeting, and Watchtower is there with 3 representatives again.
Yeah.
And this was September of 2017.
I find it interesting that Watchtower sends representatives to these OSCE meetings as if, they're friends, and then they turn around and then publicly bash him in some dedication talk, because this was a dedication talk, correct?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, they're rubbing shoulders with these other people that are part of the UN as if, they're going to be real good friends, and then they turn around and publicly bash him. Some kind of friend that is, huh?
Well, do you remember when we were first waking up and Elder Richard Sedlak came over to visit us, and Mike brought up the UN membership, and he says, oh, well, Watchtower likes to keep an eye on things. They go a little beyond keeping an eye on things. They actually have been petitioning and appealing through the Human Rights Department, for their mistreatment in all these other countries. And like you will see on our website, there is PDF files of, them doing booklets, and I mean just page after page after page of them whining and crying of their mistreatment. Watchtower, maybe the UN has someone watching all of the apostate videos on YouTube and see these clips of you guys bashing the UN, and then they're like, well, why should we help them when they're going to bash us and say, that we're failing at bringing peace and we're useless and all of this? It's like, oh, good Lord.
It's that Watchtower mentality, it's just the indoctrination mentality is, and it's like when you listen to Losch, she's telling you all of the problems with the world. He just goes on, rambles on with this list of all the problems, and yet you have to become a member to, keep an eye on what's going on in the world. How is it that you know so much about what's going on in the world, and yet you still have to qualify yourself sitting in, these meetings to know what's going on in the world? Losch. You governing body, you should learn to keep your flipping mouth shut.
Well, what they should do is watch the XJW community's YouTube videos, and they'll know what's going on.
Exactly.
You don't need to go to UN meetings.
Because Watchtower, there's so much of this stuff getting leaked right now, secret accounting meetings and everything. The hell with the UN. You should be more concerned what the apostates are doing, because we're doing more damage to this organization than that UN conglomerate of nations could ever do to you.
Well, it's interesting.
Excuse me, Federation of Nations.
Well, I was going to bring up in that clip, he says the Federation of Mexico and the Federation of the United States.
Well, doesn't it emphasize the unity very much? We appreciate this. So let us always put forth effort to, as Paul writes, putting up with one another in love in order to maintain this unity. In contrast, the United States are called united. The Mexican Federation is also called United States, but they add of Mexico. That actually, that's an official term, United States of Mexico, because they are a federation of states, just like the United States is a federation.
It's a republic.
It's not a federation. The only federation would be the Federation of Planets on Star Trek.
Yeah, beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah.
I'm ready to leave this hell on Earth.
And maybe Russia, is a federation of Russia, maybe. But I mean, United States is a republic.
Yeah, go back to school and learn some history there, Losch.
Yeah. I mean, this talk, and it was almost like he kept losing his place. And, he was just all over the place in this. But I wanted to show another clip from this same talk.
Well, it's good to have these prophecies in the Bible. To have a basis for meditation on what will come in the near future. Well, then, with the destruction of Babylon the Great tribulation will start, and we don't know how long it will last. It may take quite a while, the Great Tribulation upon Jerusalem in the year 66 lasted a few years. It started in 66 when Roman armies under Cestius Gallus attacked Jerusalem, and then for some reason they withdrew from the attack. Historians are puzzled about that. And not much later, another Roman army under another general, Titus, and came back and conquered city after city, first in Galilee and then in Judea, until in the year 70 they attacked for the second time Jerusalem and destroyed it. Now, the whole time was great tribulation for the city, not just in the year 70, but starting in 66, because then people were not allowed to leave the city, and though there were more people in the city than the city really could care for, and they had problems with food, and they started to have fights within the city. Different factions fought and killed one another. Imagine that. And this was all during the time between 66 and 70. So the Great Tribulation lasted quite a while in the first century. We don't know how long it will last now, but our literature from the Faithful Slave used the expressions the initial phase of the Great Tribulation with the destruction of Babylon, and then the final phase of the Great Tribulation, which would be Armageddon, destruction of Satan's system of things. Now, but in between there is an interval, and the Watchtower used also this expression to show that during that interval also there's great tribulation.
Now, he's talking about the Great Tribulation that happened back in Jerusalem, and Jerusalem was attacked in 66. Okay, now focus on Great Tribulation that happened in Jerusalem at that time. And then he goes on to talk about the next Great Tribulation that hasn't happened yet, when the government and the UN and all of that goes and attacks religion. I got some news for you guys. I've got your Bible. Let's go to Matthew 24:21. This is talking about that Great Tribulation that happened back then. Let's go to verse 20, just to get it in context. This is when Jesus was talking. Keep praying that your flight may not occur in wintertime, nor on the Sabbath day, for then there will be great tribulation, such has not occurred since the world's beginning until now. Now, meaning right then when he was talking to his
Right. It's not a future event.
disciples, has not occurred since the world's beginning until now. No, nor will occur again. Nor will occur again. That means, that sounds like it's not going to ever happen again. So, you have to believe if this was back then, back in 66 when this had happened, nor was going to occur again. And here he's talking about two different great tribulations. Think about that, Jehovah's Witnesses. Losch is talking that there's two great tribulations. Right here, Matthew 24:21. Nor will occur again. So which tribulation is Jesus talking about that hadn't occurred since up to that point, nor will occur again? Sounds like only one time to me.
Well, I had a similar conversation with my mother when I was indoctrinated, because I read this scripture and I get to thinking about it, and I just want to reflect for a minute back at this. Okay, verse 19. Woe to the pregnant woman and to those nursing a baby in those days. Keep praying that your flight may not occur in wintertime, nor on the Sabbath day. My argument with my mother was this. I tried to help my mom realize that this prayer, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, somewhere in this world praying, oh, Jehovah, please don't let Armageddon come in the wintertime. Please don't let it happen. God cannot answer that prayer. And this is what I was trying to show my mom, is that it may be the middle of summertime right here, But elsewhere on the earth, say like in Australia and on the other side of the earth, the different quadrants, it's wintertime. It's their wintertime, and vice versa. When they're having their summertime, it's wintertime here in the United States. Now, depending on where you live here in the United States, you could be in, Warwick, New York, and saying, "Oh, Jehovah, please don't let it snow during this winter tribulation." And guess what? You'll end up with 15 feet of snow. God cannot answer that prayer. He can't do it. Because depending on where you are, it may or may not be wintertime. And that's what I was trying to help my mom recognize, that this prophecy only had fulfillment back in Jesus' day, 70 CE, when it was finally destroyed. And she got the point. She actually got the point, because a couple days later she come back and said, "I got to thinking about what you're saying, and you're right. God can't answer that prayer because somewhere on the earth it's always wintertime." Well, hell, what if you're in the North Pole, up in the higher regions up there? "Oh, Jehovah,
Antarctica?
please make all this snow go away before Armageddon comes so that my plight doesn't happen in the wintertime." It's a prayer that God cannot answer. Think about it, Jehovah's Witnesses. Think about what this scripture is saying. This only has to have application to the final destruction of that temple in Jerusalem in 70 CE.
Yeah, and then he mentions that Jerusalem was attacked twice. Well, I guess if you kind of want to...
Well, if you want to call a siege an attack, according to the Watchtower, they did undermine the temple area and then fled, but, that's... Archaeology has to prove a little bit more of what really happened in 66 CE as they were undermining the temple than just a few words coming out of Watchtower's mouth.
Well, I guess if he wants to change the Bible, even their own Bible, to where there's 2 great tribulations, I guess he can change it to where Jerusalem was attacked twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, they're the governing body. They can do whatever they want.
Well, yeah, they're the faithful and discreet slave. Whatever comes out of their mouth becomes religious dogma for the Jehovah's Witness. Maybe that's why so many are waking up, because they can see through the bullshit now.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of waking up, some of you have sent us emails, and I know I can't answer you like Isaac, because, your JW family will see the emails. So I just want to say hi, and thank you for sending your emails. And hang in there. Hang in there. And like we always say, don't say anything to anybody, that's a JW, about you waking up or questioning things, and be careful, because, you don't want to get caught and outed. So, just be careful. And, I just want to assure everybody that as soon as I read those emails and see that you do not want me to respond, I don't respond.
Right.
And I do delete all emails, so that they're not on my computer just in case someone hacks in.
Right.
So just be assured that, we want to protect, your identity, and, we appreciate you contacting us, being brave enough to contact us, because that's a risk in itself, just contacting us. And we're glad our videos are helping you, and hang in there. And, I don't know, maybe go to a library and set up a different account to where you
could do that.
That's what some of the ones who are still living at home do. They're still going to school, and so they'll go into the library and set up a different account, and then that way it doesn't go into the home computer. So we want to protect you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so what else we got from these knuckleheads?
Well, like I said, I'm going to put the link down below to everything we have mentioned, especially our website. I am going to put, the link to that particular blog, and that will have the information. It's got a whole PDF of the participation members list, and then it's got just the screenshots of just the pages. But you want to look for participant number 134, 135, and I believe the other one was 246 or 264. My dyslexia is kicking. But it is on our website, so I will put the link to that down below, that you can check that out. And then Losch's talk itself, I will put the link down below. But when you go to that page, you can do videos, and all the others will come up, because we're putting leaked videos on there
Yeah. Leaked stuff.
But this isn't collusion with the Russians. This is just taking advantage of their road tubes, since Watchtower hopefully won't go after those.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. That's a fact.
Yeah. So our hearts, thoughts, and love go out to everybody going through a difficult time right now. And you know we love you and we're thinking about you. So hang in there and you have a wonderful weekend.
God bless.
Bye.